let's talk about balls.
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
Hi, welcome to Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell. Before we get started with today's video, I want to thank you guys so much for getting me past 100 subscribers. I really didn't think I would reach that milestone whenever I started this thing, like a couple months ago. Thank you again so much. To celebrate and to close off summer 2024, I will be discussing a subscriber recommended so bad it's good movie, Ping Pong Summer. In 1985, a summer vacation in Ocean City, Maryland changes the life of a shy white teen, their words, not mine, Rad, played by Marcelo Conte, who's obsessed with table tennis and hip-hop music. So, long before I even started this channel, like maybe 4 to 5 years ago, my brother and I mysteriously came across this movie in our family's DVR. Now, we didn't know what the hell it was. We watched it, we had some thoughts on it. We asked mom about it, she didn't know. Dad supposedly didn't record it. So, I guess really you could just say it's divine intervention that we're even really talking about this today. My brother Joe, who is subscribed to me, hey Joe, he asked me to cover this film in my community post, and in person he just kept bugging me and bugging me and bugging me continuously. Eventually, I decided to cover it. So, writer-director Michael Tully, he aimed to craft a comedy movie that was based on the movies that he grew up with in the 1980s, like The Karate Kid, but then also combine it with the vibes of his summer vacation trips that his family took to Ocean City, Maryland. The very boardwalk that this movie was filmed at, that I actually thought was a pretty cool tidbit. So he wrote the story back in 1992, continually worked to try to get this movie made. He entered the film industry, made a couple of movies that garnered some acclaim for him. Eventually, he was able to bring it to life and release it in 2014. So I know what you're thinking already, but knowing the personal story of this guy and what inspired him to make the movie, I just have a weird feeling talking about it now, because it does come from a personal place. The charm of the story, I think it does come through here and there in bits and pieces, but the execution of the story, it's so hilariously cringy. I was entertained by it the whole time. Despite this being a so bad it's good movie, there actually are quite a bit of things I like about it. This film's pacing, it's not terrible. I'm kind of relieved. It's an hour 30 roughly. It moves really quickly. A lot of Hollywood movies aren't like that today, so I actually do appreciate that. It gets to the point. It introduces you to our main character, Rad, get to the boardwalk pretty quickly, and then you're introduced to the supporting teen cast, and it sets up the conflict with the main bullies pretty quickly. Now, the attention to detail in trying to capture that aesthetic, the 1980s boardwalk, I thought was really cool. It obviously looks like you pulled that setting from a different time. It's not too over the top with the 80s aesthetic like so much modern media is, and this reference, here's that reference, here's this, here's that. It's very subtle in a way that I do appreciate. The adults in the story, they're not in it a lot. When they do show up, I actually was entertained by the adult side of it. They played their roles mostly comedically subtle. Reminded me a lot actually of how John Hughes would write his adults in the movies. And then you had Susan Sarandon, who just kind of pops up here and there. Yeah, you could definitely tell she wasn't there long when filming this thing. But she definitely had a lot of fun playing the Mr. Miyagi type role. She's weird in a way that works for this movie.
I hope you're enjoying this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Any support will be greatly appreciated. And now, back to the stash.
Alright, so going into the mixed. Even knowing the personal history of what it took to base this movie and the influences of Michael Tully, it comes off very tonally inconsistent for most of the runtime. But it's still hilarious despite that though. Seems like it's trying to homage the 80s movies, but then it's also like he's trying to satirize the 80s movies and their cliches. And I mean, there's plenty of ridiculous things to make fun of with it, but the problem is with this type of movie, I don't think it works hand in hand. It just comes off very awkward. That's a word you're going to hear me say a lot in this thing, so heads up on that. There are a few performances within this teen cast that I do like, and I think they're okay, but For every good moment, there's just so many more off moments and bad line reads that balance it out into a mix for me. There's Ted Guardo, or Teddy, let's just call him Teddy, played by Miles Macy. In this film, he is very funny in this thing. He's funny and he's charming. He's not the best actor.
Is it a rap?
Wait, you?
Did you just ask me that? Of course I do. I catch the groove. I'm Teddy Fry. Spelled with 2 Y's. I'll rap and spray all over your face.
Definitely will remind you that he's not a great actor, but he is a fun presence in this movie, and I do look forward to seeing him pop up in this thing. If we're talking about an 80s movie, we have to have some 80s villains. So we have the Ping Pong Bullies. We have Lyle and Dale, baby. The main villains of our movie. Lyle, played by Joseph McCautry, he's alright. But then you have Dale. He's played by Andy Riddle, and oh my god, he, I think, is just so weird. Plays up just how sniveling he is to our main villain, Lyle. That's both funny and annoying, more so annoying. It's just because this is like a small scale event. This is just a ping pong match, but they both play it up so over the top that it's great. And the homoerotic undertones between the Dale and Lyle characters, like, I can't tell if it's supposed to be satirization of those 80s movies and the villains, or even the main characters, how it's sort of, there's always a sense of like, is this gay? Is it supposed to be gay coded? Or I don't even know if it's just Michael Tully's sense of humor, how he just has the supporting character constantly saying, man, look at how hot Lyle is.
You do realize this is game point.
Inseminate him.
Milk does a body good, right?
Does your body good. You look warmed up enough. Lyle, as always, you're smoking hot.
He keeps saying these weird, out-of-pocket stuff that doesn't even fit the situation that he's bringing it forward in. These lines are so weird and funny. Do you know what that means? That means it's time for intermission. And today's popcorn, it's Campbell's Pizza Popcorn. Truthfully, I was looking for either seafood-based popcorn or maybe like an icy popcorn. I wasn't able to find it in time. It would still be a good summer-related food to where I think it would work. Let's just pop it open. Ooh. Smell that, everybody? Got the smell of Italy within there. That was fucking horrible. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I mean, it smells pretty good. You can definitely smell the pizza spices in there. Oh, that is weird. That is really good. It's weird. Whenever I wasn't expecting much, I took a bite out of it and weirdly tasted like marinara. But then the second bite, you get more of the Parmesan taste, like sprinkled Parmesan and mozzarella cheese. Like, that is actually really, really tasty. I'm not giving it a perfect score, but I definitely think this is a 9 out of 10. Like, oh, here's an idea. Maybe you could like crush these up and coat it over a thing of like string cheese and you could air fry it. That would be a good cheese stick. And now I guess here's like the big negative I have with this thing, and I think this negative, it works out in the favor of me enjoying this as a so bad it's good movie. This movie is it's so awkward. Our main character, Rad, is awkward. Teddy, he's awkward. The supporting teen cast is awkward. Even the bullies are awkward. Everybody is so weirdly awkward in this thing. And look, don't get me wrong. I feel like that's very true to kids who are transitioning into teens, and teens when they eventually transfer over into being adults. It's a very cringy time in everybody's life. I certainly was cringy at that age. But I just feel like not everybody can be at the same level of cringe as our main character. Like, everyone is just cringe at this thing. And I feel the most bad for our main character, played by Marcello Conti. His character is so awkward to follow around on this little adventure. I understand that's the point of the story, is that he starts off awkward, and he gradually gets better as he discovers who he is, and he doesn't really get better. He starts awkward, and he ends it just a little less awkward. And I feel bad saying this because I don't really want to make fun of kids in movies here. So, honestly, I feel like that more the blame should go to the director, Michael Tully, because he just made the performance look so incredibly awkward, and I just don't think that makes for a fully entertaining movie. Other than the bullies and Teddy, the other teens, they speak in this awkward, monotone voice, and everybody practically has it who isn't an adult or those other teen characters. It seems more like bad direction instead of just a stylistic choice, like in a Wes Anderson movie where everyone's talking in almost the same monotone voice. And if you're satirizing the 80s genre, I feel like, at least with this movie, it doesn't completely work when you have these kids acting super awkward, but then they have to play off of these really crazy, over-the-top 80s bad guys. I get what he's trying to go for, maybe. Because maybe he was trying to go for that type of tone of a John Hughes movie. Because they certainly have that in some of the John Hughes movies. But weirdly enough, I think only John Hughes was able to make this type of pairing work. So I didn't go through all of this movie's flaws because I do want to leave it for anyone who might want to seek this out. It is so enjoyable to watch. It's not the best of this weird sort of subgenre pop culture has made over the years, but if you gather friends around and you don't really tell them what they're in for and you just watch it, I feel like you would have a great time with this thing. It's an easy 5 out of 10, but I think it's a fun 5 out of 10. You should definitely check it out. It's free to watch on Peacock. Yeah, give it a shot. So for this week's recommendation, honestly, if you want a movie that does what this is doing and you haven't seen this, watch the original Karate Kid. Honestly, watch the sequels. Watch the Jaden Smith remake. Watch fucking Cobra Kai. Any version of the Karate Kid is better than this. But still, give Ping Pong Summer some love. I think it's quite a bit of fun. Well, that's all the time we have here in Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell, and if you excuse me, I gotta add to the stash.